I am live. I am reading out of Lord of the Horizon. It is a far memory book by Joan Marshall Grant. She passed away in 1989. She was a writer of her own far memories, her previous incarnations. This is her incarnation as Ra-Ab. We met Ra-Ab before. She is a mayor here as Ra-Ab. In the Lord of the Horizon, but we met him in the eyes of Horus before. Anyway, we are in the fourth part now of this book, and it is chapter 8, and it's entitled A Narrow Victory. Anyone who entered the deep shade afforded by a group of stunted trees about 300 paces from the road to the royal city would have seen two men in the sleep of exhaustion. I did not wake until moonrise, and for a moment thought that what I had experienced with the Babylonian had taken place in the underworld. I rolled over and saw Teten lying beside me. Beyond him, our pack donkey cropped contentedly at the thin pasture. Teten stirred and opened his eyes. "We have been victorious, Ra-Ab. The spirit, to which Senusert was only one of many successive souls, does not know of anything learned by the Babylonian, nor will the record of her life be available to it, perhaps for millennia." "Then Senusert has died more than an ordinary death?" "For a time, yes. When you and I die, Ra-Ab, the change will be imperceptible, except insofar as our bodies are concerned. You could, if you wished, continue to be only Ra-Ab Hotep, just as I might decide to be limited by the small knowledge of Teten. There would of course be wider fields open to us, even as there are now when we are asleep. The love which you hold for Mary is not born of your knowledge of her only as Ra-Ab, for that is but one thread of the hundreds which together make the gold link between you. For her you have the love of father to son, of daughter to mother, of sister to sister, and of warrior to brother warrior. Now you are husband and wife, as aforetime you have been wife and husband. The link between you is a link of the spirit as well as of soul and of flesh. A soul cannot endure through its own substance unless it is linked by affection to some other soul. That link Senusert was never able to create. I have lifted from her the burden of her hate, but she must go naked except for her love, and of that there was so little that it was less substantial than a wisp of cloud. But have you broken all the false links she made?" "Yes, Senusert no longer has any power, either for good or evil." "And will Amenemhet be cured of his sickness? Will our friendship be as it was before she extended her influence over him?" "Her influence has gone, but the memory of it remains. I cannot remove part of his memory and leave the rest. If I made him forget Senusert, and that would not be impossible, every detail of the last 10 years might be cut off from his waking mind. Because of the position he holds, we cannot allow that to happen." "Then what can we do?" "Now that her influence is broken, it should be possible to make him accept as a reality those experiences which made him afraid he was going mad. It was that which caused the change in his character. He is a brave man, Ra-Ab. Few others could have lived day after day with a phantom which they believed to be an embodiment of their own guilt. That is why he tried to shut himself away from his friends. He believed that because he continued to seek Senusert, he was being haunted by his own fears, of which her apparition was only a symbol. He, the Pharaoh, who had sworn to send fear into exile, was himself the prisoner of fear. Was it surprising that he thought that any man who knew the secrets of his heart would judge that he had betrayed the oath which he made when he took up the crook and flail? How could he say that he had sent fear into exile, when it was his invisible companion? He must have been in terror that his priests might at any time be able to see the projection of his fear. His every action was an attempt to preserve the thickness of the mask he must constantly wear, so that through it no one could see terror naked in his eyes. How can we best help him? No way is certain, but it is not easy to break down the habit of 10 years. I have a plan which, although it holds considerable personal risk to yourself, might prove more efficacious than any other. Tonight, as on every other night, he will wait for the Babylonian. He will be waiting now, and for the first time in a decade, she will not come to him. Tomorrow you must wait in her garden until he dismisses the servants. Let him hear footsteps like those he had heard so often before. This time the door will open and he will see not Kelsey, but Ra-Ab Hotep, his friend. For me to advise you what to do then is impossible. You must judge his mood for yourself. It will be dangerous, Ra-Ab, for if he thinks you have spied on him, he may order your death. He has kept up this desperate concealment for so long that when he realizes that you have broken through his defenses, he may turn on you with the fury of a trapped leopard. Somehow you must convince him that the Babylonian will never again return. Convince him that you honor him for his courage during these terrible years, that though you know his secret, your friendship is increased and not diminished. Remember that he is still bowed down under a sense of guilt, and that no man who feels guilty is entirely sane. Only by removing the guilt can you set him free. Only when he is free can you say to him, your sins are forgiven in the name of Ra. The wind had risen and the garden was sibilant, with leaves which concealed the small sounds I made in climbing the trellis to the grating in the wall of Amenemhet's room. I heard the door close behind the servants. For a long time there was silence. Then I heard his voice. Where are you, Kelsey? For 10 years you have never kept me waiting. Am I to be denied even your company? Are you tired of coming to me only when I am alone? Shall I see you sitting beside me when I give audience? Then his voice became even more tense. You are trying to make Senusert recognize you. Senusert, for whose sake I killed you. You will fail, Kelsey, just as you failed with him before. I sent him to the horizon of Horus, where they are wise in magic. Royden will protect him. Royden will prevent Egypt again being ruled by a man who is haunted. You think you can attack me through my son, O merciless Babylonian? You think because he is my son he will be afraid of you? But you misjudge him, O foreign woman. You always misjudged him, even when he was a little boy. You thought he would become so obedient to you that I, his father, would despise him and leave him in your care. But I tricked you then, and I will trick you again. You hate Senusert, don't you, Kelsey? You thought you could make of him a mask which could conceal your power. But Senusert is strong, and if you attack him, he will not be alone. He will betray you to the priests as I have not dared to do. You are stronger than one man, even though he is Pharaoh of the 2 lands, but you are not so strong as a great priesthood, who are mighty because they have not betrayed their oath, as I have done. They have cast out fear. To them you will only be a trivial enemy, a scorpion to be crushed under the heel of a gold sandal. You think that you can make me betray Senusert, make of his loyalty to me and his loyalty to the great traditions a pestle and mortar, between which the corn of his will shall be ground to dust. You think he will not be able to endure having to choose between breaking the oath of allegiance to me and betraying the eyes of Horus, in whose service he has been trained. You even tried to make me hate him, because he is stronger than I. You made me believe that he poisoned me, because my death was necessary to Egypt, and that his wife only pretended to heal me, so that she could mock at my weakness. But you could not make me deny the power of Ptah, when I felt it in my own body, and of my sickness I was healed. You think Senusert will not be able to choose between me and Egypt, and because of this indecision he will gradually lose his power of judgment until he no longer trusts in himself. You will fail, Horus, as you failed before, and for the same reason. It is I who will save him. A man must be prepared to die for his son, and though I am pitiful as a pharaoh, I am still a man. Pharaoh will die and Pharaoh will be born again. Amenemhet will be forgotten, save by those who have the charity to remember his youth. But the name of Senusert will live in the mouths of men down the avenue of centuries which leads to the horizon. I heard him cross the room and realized he was going to take from the chest the poison with which he had killed the body of the Babylonian. I swung down from the trellis and in 3 strides had reached the door. Amenemhet was standing at the far side of the room. In his hand was a little gold jar. In a voice entirely without expression, he said, "I can relieve you of what I feel sure you must be an unpleasant duty, Ra-Ab Hotep. It would be better for Egypt if Pharaoh is not assassinated. I ask from the eyes of Horus only a little patience. Tomorrow they will hear that Pharaoh has died in his sleep. They may find it difficult to join in the formality of tribulation, but perhaps if they try to remember the Amenemhet of 20 years ago, they might find it possible to behave in a manner according to custom." "I do not come to kill you, Amenemhet, my friend. I come to tell you that you will never again wait for your unseen guest, for she, at last, is dead." It is not necessary. I'm making a break here.